Hello and welcome to Sports Update on Trust TV. I am Emmanuel Fashimi. Let's begin with the slamming and dunking game. That is the basketball game where NBBF have actually announced the venue and then the date for the Conference 8. That is Conference 8 finals where it will be going down. We have two centers. We have two centers and we have two conferences. We have the Savannah Conference and then the Atlantic Conference. One center is based in Abuja and the second center will be in Akure, that is Ondo State. And it's a good one that after that meeting, it was an emergency meeting. They had to decide on the two centers that will be hosting the final 8th conference of the Nigerian basketball. And the winners of the leagues, the winner of the league will be representing Nigeria in the BAL African competition. That is Basketball League Africa. So the last time out, we have a Kwara Falcons who represented Nigeria. It was a total shambolic performance from Kwara Falcons when they represented Nigeria. The first time winning the Nigerian Basketball Premier League for men, and the first time they will go to the BAL Africa, but it was not a good outing. But this time around, well, let's see if they are going to win the league again and represent Nigeria. We have about 16 teams that will be participating in this particular final 8. We have 8 of them, 8 in Savannah Conference and 8 in Atlantic Conference. Let's look at the conferences before we'll go straight to Plateau State, where Abba Michael is standing by to join us on the show. On the Savannah Conference, we have Nigerian Customs, we have Nile University, it's based in Abuja, we have Kano Pillars, we have Bauchi Nets, we have Plateau Peacocks, we have Boko City Chiefs, we have Gombe Bulls, and we have Correctional Center. When you hear Gombe Bulls, this is a household name when it comes to basketball in Nigeria. Okay, let's look at the Atlantic Conference. We have Rivers Hoopers, we have Lagos Legends, we have Police Batting, we have Delta Force, we have Hoops and Reeds, we have Comets, we have Oluyole Warriors, and then we have Kwara Falcons who represented us in the last time out in the BAL Africa. Abba Michael, welcome to Sports Update this lovely evening on Trust TV. Now, we've seen the 8 teams each in the Savannah Conference and then the Atlantic Conference that will be playing in the final 8 of the Nigerian Basketball Premier League for men. Now, what are your expectations?
Yes, of course, for the Savannah Conference, I expect Plateau Peaks and, of course, Gombe Bulls to lead that conference. And for the other place, I expect Ibon Comets has actually been a good team, but, of course, I still expect Kwara Falcons and probably Oluyole Warriors to, lead that conference. We are glad that gradually the Nigerian League is beginning to pick the pieces and avert crisis, put the crisis behind and face the future so that we can make our mark at the BAL Africa, Basketball African League. It's been a while when it comes to domestic league, both in the MPFL and basketball, we're always having challenges. But we know how to assemble the national team. But when it comes to leagues or club teams, we always have challenges. But we're glad that at least the conference teams would bring back some life into the NBBF, and hopefully there will be no looking back this time around.
Okay, hopefully there will be no looking back this time around. Now, if you look at the choices of the two centers, Abuja and Akure, are you comfortable with these two centers?
Yes, of course, I'm comfortable, but I would have preferred Lagos to be the center for the Atlantic Conference due to the visibility. Lagos would have brought more fans. It would have given it a wider coverage. So for Abuja, it's okay for the Savannah, but I wish Lagos was actually chosen so that we can have more media visibility.
Okay, so that we can have more media visibility. I believe for the choice of Akure from the NBBF body, they know why they took that of the Savannah Conference to Akure, and the Atlantic Conference, I beg your pardon, to Akure, and then the Savannah Conference will be happening right here in the city of Abuja. Now, out of the two conferences, which are your teams among the conferences, the Savannah and the Atlantic Conference? Let's see if maybe if your team will probably win one of the conference and then go straight to the final.
Of course, I've been a fan of Plateau Peaks for the past 25 years. I've even trained with them in those days, talking about 20 years ago. There was a time I almost even decided if I could go for their trials to make the team, because apart from being an athlete, a sprinter, I was also a basketball player. I was keen on going for their trials at the point. So I'm a big fan of Plateau Peaks, no doubt. And of course, Gombe Bulls. So many Plateau players in Gombe Bulls. So those are my teams for the Savannah Conference.
Okay, all right. Those are your teams on the Savannah Conference. Let's see if these two teams will progress to the final. Good one that MBBF has finally done. I put everything in place to make the league happen in the Savannah Conference. Everything will be kicking off this month. Okay, let's leave the basketball story. Let's go straight to the martial art right now, where the African Championship, that is Taekwondo African Championship, the body controlling Taekwondo sports in Africa, have confirmed new date, and new date for the African Championship will be happening on November 11th, and it's a good one that the date was confirmed and everything has been put in place, and we know Nigeria also will be participating in this particular event. Now, what are you looking forward to in this particular event for the African Taekwondo Championship, Michael?
Yes, first and foremost, when you mentioned Taekwondo, it brought back great memories. Sometimes in September 2001, I remember defeating a black belter during the trials in Taekwondo somewhere at Yankari Game Reserve, all the way from Bauchi. Yes, I expect our team to come up strong. When it comes to Taekwondo, I think Nigeria is one of the African teams to look up to. We have always had a great spar, those who can spar, that's what we call it. We have great fighters, and I believe that it's an opportunity for Nigeria to once upon a time come up the African map again.
Okay, it's a great one that Nigeria will come up in the African map again. And for the championship, it will be taking place right there in Abidjan, that is Cote d'Ivoire, from the 11th of this month. The date was confirmed just yesterday, and everything has been put in place to have this particular tournament kickstart. And good, Nigeria will be representing, will be there fighting for medals. Okay, let's leave the martial art game and talk some football now, where Saudi Arabia are set to host the 2034, that is 2034 World Cup, after Australia pulled out of the hosting bid for this particular tournament. And Saudi Arabia is now fast becoming the hub, just the way we have in Morocco in Africa, becoming the center where CAF events are always going on. And Saudi Arabia is also now ready to do that in the Asian continent. And for Saudi Arabia, they are the only country left to bid for the 2034 World Cup. And as it stands, if they are the only country left to bid for that particular tournament, what do you expect? FIFA will have no choice than to say, hey, come on, we are giving you the hosting right. But Michael, now the choice of Saudi Arabia, Australia pulled out. They wanted to host the 2034 World Cup, but they pulled out of it just hours to when everybody will be showcasing what they have to bid for the tournament. Now Saudi Arabia is the only country left. What's your take about this?
Yes, I mean, what the people in the Middle East cannot do does not exist. I mean, we've seen them stealing all the best players in the world, sending them to, I mean, Al Nasser, Al Hilal, Al Ifaq. I mean, they are the ones now with the biggest players in the world. And I believe you me, before that 2034, the Saudi League may just be the best league in the world, because to have assembled with their millions all the greatest players in the world. Well, I've seen it coming. Qatar have proven that Middle East can host the World Cup. And when you talk about technology, I mean, no other continent demonstrates the peak like the Middle East, as demonstrated by Qatar and Saudi. You can imagine what will happen in 2034. I just can only see it in my dreams, because it's definitely going to be something to behold. I pray that God keeps us alive to witness that. If that happens, I will make sure that I travel all the way to Saudi just to be part of the World Cup. But I think it's a good one, a great development.
Okay, it's a good one. If Saudi hosts the World Cup, we know they've hosted Formula One. Now, of recent, they have been hosting all the boxing, heavyweight boxing bout in the world. Just over the weekend, we saw Francis Ngannou and Tyson Fury taking down each other right there in Riyadh, where you have all Cristiano Ronaldo present. You have the UFC champions, Kamaru Usman, former champions, and our own New Zealander boy that is talking about Adesanya. They were all there. So I think for Saudi Arabia, they are fasting becoming the fast hub of hosting events, sporting events in the world. Now, as it stands, like I said from the onset, Australia pulled out. They are the only country left. So it's just as good as saying they have been given the hosting right of the 2034 World Cup, except something happened and FIFA made a U-turn for not giving them the hosting right. But as it stands, they are the only country who is left to bid for that particular event. Okay, let's leave Saudi Arabia. Now let's look at the EFL Cup game that will be coming up in the English Premier League tonight. That is the English Football League. It's formerly called the Carling Cup, or you can call it Carabao Cup. Now we have some games lined up tonight. We have a West Ham United against Arsenal, is a London derby. We have a AFC Bournemouth against Liverpool. Chelsea will play Blackburn Rovers, and Burnley will travel to Everton to face Everton. We have Ipswich Town against Fulham, and then Manchester United will be at Old Trafford to play host to Newcastle United. These two teams are, well, it's going to be a repeat of what happened in the last season's English Football League games. Now, Michael, these are some of the games that will be coming up tonight in the English Football League, or you can call it the Carabao Cup.
Yes, of course. The match to watch is the West Ham Arsenal game. We are hearing that Nketiah will not be available for this fixture. I think there's one other player that is injured that will not be available for this fixture for Arsenal. This is the match of the night, in my own opinion. I think Arsenal may have to look at the second team in order to play in this EFL fixture. I see Arsenal getting a narrow victory against West Ham in this round of 16.
Okay, what of the game between Manchester United and Newcastle United? That's another tough game.
Well, yes, of course. Man U versus Newcastle. Of late, Newcastle have shown that they are a team that is very difficult to beat. I wouldn't be wrong if I decide to give Newcastle the edge on this one, even though so many of their players have been sidelined. Most about 6 players of Newcastle first team will not be available for this fixture. And probably that's the reason why, let me drift a little, maybe Man U may have this, considering the fact that Newcastle have some players on the sidelines. It's about 6 of them or so.
Okay, about 6 of them also are sometimes, and you know, Manchester United have not really been doing well off late. They were beaten at Old Trafford by Manchester City, their neighbor, 3-0 over the weekend. How would they respond to after that defeat? How would they respond in this particular game? It's not left for Erik ten Hag and his foot soldiers to respond to that defeat and get the maximum win, because Manchester United fans right now are actually suffering, sincerely speaking. Okay, let's leave the EFL games that will be coming up tonight in the Premier League, and now let's talk some about a particular, this one, it concerns us, it concerns our Super Eagles player, fantastic player. The good thing is that all our players are doing well in their respective club. 10 games this season with 4 assists and 2 goals. Moses Simon, who plies his trade in Ligue 1 with Nantes, has been nominated for Player of the Month for Nantes.
Yes, of course. He has been nominated alongside Chirivella and, of course, Mollet. They are the nominees for the player of the month. I think he has given a good account of himself. 2 goals and 5 assists in the last 10 games. I think Moses Simon is picking up, is getting back to his best. And that's what we want to see our Super Eagles players doing well in Europe. And I think for him to be considered and nominated, it shows that he's really, really putting in the hard work and ensuring that he remains very relevant for Nantes. So it's a good news for the Super Eagles in general.
Yes, it's a good news for Super Eagles in general. We have Pedro, we have Coco, and then we have Mollet, who are all nominated for this particular Nantes Player of the Month award. But if you look at Moses Simon playing in Nantes, good one, fantastic one. And in Ligue 1 this season, he has the highest assist in all of the 18 teams that are playing this season. Now, for Moses Simon, do you think he should still spend more time with Nantes or probably look for a way out? Because before this season, there were signs that he was going to leave the team. Clubs actually came for his signature, but he decided to stay with Nantes. Do you think that decision was a good one for Moses Simon?
Yes, it was a good one because he's beginning to show the creative side of him. Remember that we already have 2 top strikers, Victor Osimhen and, of course, Victor Boniface. So we don't have too many challenges when it comes to strikers. But when it comes to those who will be able to create for the strikers, I think that's where we've been having deficit. And I think Moses Simon will be able to fill that role and close that gap for us with his ability to create. Because that's what Boniface and Osimhen needs right now. A player who can create scoring opportunities for them. And I think Moses Simon fits into that billing. And we look forward to seeing them able to blend and harmonize in the next international break.
Okay, all right. If you look at Moses Simon now play, still let's keep talking about Moses Simon because he's one player I respect so much for Moses Simon. Fantastic, cool-headed guy. Now, outside Moses Simon, if you look at the Super Eagles team, I'm not saying who do you think can play? Let's talk about the Super Eagles quickly now. Who do you think can play that position of Moses Simon? Because we have about let me say 7 strikers in the world right now that can fit into any team. And for Moses, if Moses Simon is not there, who do you think we can call upon at least to take the shoes of Moses Simon when going to the Nations Cup next year?
Well, indeed, he's a very fantastic player. He is one midfielder who can be a box-to-box midfielder. He can be a central midfielder. And he can even be an attacking midfielder. I think indeed he is one player that has that quality to be able to, live up to this billing outside of Moses Simon.
Okay, outside of Moses Simon, you think indeed he can live up to that expectation? Let's see at the end of the day if Moses Simon is going to win the Nantes Player of the Month award. We have Florent Mollet, we have Coco, and then we have Pedro Chirivella, who are all in the context to be named Nantes Player of the Month. But for Moses Simon, fantastic guy this season. He has played 10 matches, 2 goals and 4 assists. He holds the highest assist in the league this season, and probably he's going to have more of those assists to come because the season has not really gone far. 10 matches have gone down so far. They still have about 20-something matches to go in the league. We have 38 matches to be played, so they've played 10. So you know they still have 28 games to go so far. And Moses Simon, out of the 28 games, we believe he's still going to have more assists. But these are signs of good things for Moses Simon, who plays in Nantes, and good one for the Super Eagles to keep up playing very well. So when we go to the Nations Cup, he can do well. Okay, let's quickly take this one, this last one on this sports update this evening. A concerns transfer where these 3 clubs are actually keen on signing this fantastic 17-year-old guy from Shamrock Rovers. His name is Naj Razi. Fantastic midfielder. Now, Arsenal, Chelsea, and Real Madrid are keen on this particular player. 17 years of age, but If you see him play, he's a fantastic midfielder, and that is why these three teams are lined up to see if they can snap him up. Which of the team? Now, Abba Michael, quickly, let me just ask you, out of these three teams, where will you choose for this young man if you are his manager?
Well, I would choose a team like Arsenal for this young man.
Because
I think Arsenal is one of those interested, and I think Real Madrid is also interested. I remember Real Madrid is a very good place. After all, Vinicius Jr. was taken at the age of 17, 18 from Flamengo. So, yes, the player can develop. But if he really wants to develop fast, he should go to maybe Arsenal or Chelsea. No, not Chelsea, but let's say Arsenal. Arsenal will give him a good platform to develop maybe within the next 1 or 2 years. Then he can now move to a team like Real Madrid, where they become the biggest of stars.
Okay, where the biggest of stars, you know, when it comes to the Galacticos, they are always there. They know how to do it. Okay, Abba Michael, that is where we are going to leave it on Sports Update this lovely evening. Thanks for joining me on the show.
Yes, of course. Sports Senator, you are the best. Best of luck to Plateau United as we move to the stadium.
All right. Best of luck to Plateau United as we speak. That game is ongoing right there at the Jos Township Stadium. That is where we leave it on Sports Update this evening. Thanks for watching. I am Emmanuel Fashimi.